want to make another video here about these appliances I was talking about earlier, and I'm going to make a brief mention about my window AC unit. Always keep in mind, all my videos are in North Florida, and they're always referring to the heat. That's all I deal with. Most of the time, before all I would look for is a place for shade to get out of the sun. It's just brutal here. From about the middle of May, we're fast approaching it, until all the way up until November. It's 85, 90 degrees every day, in the low 70s at night. Very humid, very hostile environment in North Florida, especially if you're out in the elements, out in the sun, sitting in a Walmart parking lot. It's brutal. It is not a game. It's brutal. And almost since the beginning of doing this van life crap, I enjoy it. It's a challenge. Well, not really, but like camping out. If you got money, you got everything. You don't get to joke. But I'm dealing with heat all the time, and I mentioned to you these appliances. And well, all these appliances that I have, which I knew this from the beginning, I started out with a refrigerator several years ago. I always knew if I'm battling heat, if I put a refrigerator in there and have to run it all the time, it gives off heat. Oh, you better believe it does. And it's great, during the cool months, it's irrelevant. But as soon as it gets hot, so let me just give you an example. If I were to park somewhere and not have it out in the sun, I got all these solar panels on top of the vehicle. They shade a little bit, but this window van, it's just brutal. It'll go from, let's say, a low of, in the evening hours at 70 degrees, 70, 75 inside. It's always hotter inside than it is outside. But 70, 75 degrees to 90, 100 degrees very quickly. As soon as the sun comes up, hits the windows, they're black tinted windows, they heat up. It's brutal. And you take that, coupled with running appliances, one or two, I got three of them. It has to be managed. Let me give you another example. It's about 80, 85 degrees. It's about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning here. I just made breakfast. I cooked some eggs, bacon, all that stuff. I was going to cook inside on my induction. I said, no, I already had the little gas burner up. So I just I've had double burner Coleman's. I got the little single burner that runs off the LP cylinder, the butane cylinder. I love those things. I've had two or three of them. They get nasty. I just throw them away and buy another one. Or they get wore out. But I cooked it outside. And just making that breakfast, I made some toast. The toaster oven was on. The refrigerator's running, and all that. It got brutally hot in here. I mean, it goes from where you're just having a simple morning to cooking breakfast, sweating. It gets hot. You got these appliances running. It can get out of control very quickly. It can, where you really want to enjoy your breakfast, it can be it can go downhill very quickly if it's not managed properly. I was successful at I still kind of messed up. You got to kind of prep a little bit. You don't have all your stuff out. You start looking for something that it gets frustrating. There's no question about it. It gets frustrating, especially if you get hot. You start sweating. And whenever you start cooking, whether it's in or out or whatever it is you're doing, in the summer months, it's brutal. It just intensifies the already hot, humid environment. So by having being in a hot environment and having appliances, refrigerator, portable refrigerator, upright refrigerator, freezer, they give off heat. So you got to manage all that properly. Second is, I wanted to mention about my AC. I have a window unit in here. I mounted it in the back. I've had a 5000, mechanical 5000 for years. I had two of them. And I ran them off my little sports generators. First thing I did when I bought this, as I made mention of, first thing I did is I took the window out of the back. I laid it on top of a piece of plyboard, cut it out, screwed it to the where the window once was, measured the diameter of the AC, cut it out, stuck it in there, put a couple of brackets on it to hold it in place, cranked my AC up. I did it all before. I was so hot I couldn't take it anymore. Cranked my little Sportsman up. The Sportsman generator, which is one of the best generators out there for the money if you take care of it. They're, as I mentioned earlier, they're finicky, they're funny, they're cheap made, but they're cheap, and they will power a 5,000 if it's. I've already got the wattage and the startup wattage figured out before I even bought mine. This is back 5-6 years ago, so I already knew all that. But it's still this. I wanted to get the high efficiency Energy Star. The Frigidaire makes one, and I had to order it because it's a special order. They don't make a high energy. This would be a low startup wattage. I think it's had a 13.1 EER, 12. I think 13. It was up there, and it had a low startup wattage, which wouldn't overload the Sportsman. Sportsmans will overload on most of your 5,000 ACs. As far as running an AC, it's very simple, folks. It's the compressor that takes the power. It's got a capacitor on it. It'll overload the generator. And that's the first thing I learned when I was in a hurry to get it, so I just went into Walmart, bought that Haier, H-A-I-R, Haier. It was $110 at the time. Stuck it in my window, cranked the AC up, and the generator stalled out. And I was able to manage to get it started, but most of the time I don't let it cycle in. It's like 350, 400 watts on the Sportsman. And with all these Chinese generators, if you don't dog them, you don't run the hell out of them, as I mentioned, and you change the oil on them, it's amazing how long they go on and on. It's amazing if you take care of it. It's very important. But I wanted to make mention of this. When I bought a new AC, I got rid of my 5,000. In fact, somebody came out and bought it about a month ago, and I bought a inverter AC. This is very important here. This is amazing. This is a high efficiency inverter. An inverter is where you can control the compressor. As all these other ACs that they make, when the compressor comes on, it's either on or off. It's like a microwave. It becomes full on or full off, and the thermostat is what manages it in the fan. But the power draw is the same. Whether you put it on low or high, when the compressor comes on, that's what it's all about. You'll figure it out. As with this inverter AC, you can control the power to, it's like your inverter microwave I have. An amazing thing too, but you can control the power that goes to it. And so it's a variable. If I put my AC, my inverter AC, which I bought on Amazon for $300, it's an 8,000. I got a good deal on it. They're about $400 for an 8,000. When I turn my AC on, my inverter AC on, and I put it on low, it's pulling about 250 watts. Where if I turn my conventional 5,000 AC on, whether it's a Frigidaire or this Haier that I bought, the compressor is going to draw a certain amount of wattage. It was about 400 on that. As this one here is 250 on low. It's about 250 on low, and then medium is about 400, and then high is about 600. It might be 550, but it's up there. I can always tell without even by this how to load it when I run it on the generator. But what's also amazing about this inverter, which is true for all electronic ACs, I can run it at night. I put it on low. It's amazing. It's going to be wonderful when I have to run it all the time at night. And I put it on low. It's pulling 250 watts off my lithium batteries, and it cools down here inside this vehicle very quickly once the sun goes down, and the whole thing just shuts off. So it's not on at all, which is true for all electronic digital ACs. They'll cut the fan off too, but at low wattage cuts the fan off, and then I have a little small fan I use for circulating air, and I use it for windshield, absolutely, and it pulls about 40 to 50 watts. So between these two, this fan coming on, and it's putting a little breeze in and around where I'm sleeping, and this AC coming on, I make out very well. I don't use a lot. It probably, I would say, if I turned it on, if I ran it from the time I went to sleep, say at 10 o'clock on low, it's got an econo mode. That's what shuts the whole thing off. I would say on an average night, let's say that it's going to get here to where it's about 75 is the low. It's usually a little warmer in here, obviously, but I would say y'all probably pull 1,000 watt hours if I run it, which is a lot. Run it all night for 10, which is not bad. Probably not even. Now I ran it last night, and yeah, it shut off and it never came back on because it dropped down to about 68 last night. It's about 72 in here, but 73. But I didn't use a lot of wattage. But inverter AC, the EER on that is it's either 15 or 16. Yeah, and it's got I don't know what the startup wattage is on it, but it's not much. It's the way to go. If you were banning it, and when I put that AC in there, I already had the piece of plyboard, the piece of where I had the 5,000. I just took the 5,000 out and made the measure and cut it out bigger and slid it in. I didn't bother to. In fact, I was going to take it off and upgrade the plyboard, the how to secure it in the window there, but I couldn't get the screws out because I had painted it so many times. The Phillips head screws are all covered in paint. I said, just leave the damn thing in there. And I can't get my phone to turn around backwards. I can't. I don't know how to do it. I can do it when it's off, but I can't do it while it's running. I was going to show you that, which I'll do again. But appliances, AC, inverter ACs, generators. If I were banning it, and I was in a hot environment, the first damn thing I would do, and I don't give up. Especially if you don't have AC. I mean, you can go. This is bullshit here. You could go in here in North Florida. I can go on Marketplace and buy a 5,000 AC for $50 to $75. They're about $175. They were about $120 before y'all elected that last mother. And they're up to about $170 now. I can go buy a used AC for $50. I bought mine brand new, but all my ACs I bought brand new. But you see them on there all the time. Buy a used AC for $50-$60. There's a lot of generators. Inverter, don't mess with the other ones. Get an inverter generator. I'm not going to get into all that. Don't even think about getting a lot of these generators. I'm not going to get an inverter generator. And 1,000 watt is really all you need. If I were going to, I have a Generac PowerMate. They both are the same. Those are excellent generators. The little Westinghouse 1,000 watt. I think it's 1,200. All those are good ones. The Generac, you get those. You get them for new. They're about 350, 400. The same price as a 2,000. But I see them all the time. If you go look on Marketplace and you're not in a hurry to get one, you can find 1,000. Anytime you buy something like that, if you have a question, just I can tell you anything. I can tell you anything you want to know about inverters. Just message me and I'll help you out on that. But you can go buy a used AC for $50, and I could go find a used inverter generator for $175. I could do the whole thing for $250. Piece of plyboard, $10-15. Some screws to screw it in, some paint to paint it. When I mounted mine in there, it took me about 10 minutes to get the window out without dropping it. And then I mounted the piece of plyboard on there. I just took self-tapping, screwed it on there, cut it out, slid the AC in. I had to. I was 95 degrees outside. I was dying. It was terrible. I cranked my generator. I was parked in the shade at the library over here on Beach Boulevard, the San Pablo Library. I put it in the back lot. And put that AC, went over underneath the shade tree, cranked that generator up, and I took a snooze. I was like, damn, this is and how economical it was. How economical that little generator. Now my little Generac, PowerMate, Westinghouse, Harbor Freight, they're all the same. You go look at them, they're all the same. It's not quite as efficient. It's just very efficient, but the construction of it is just it's way ahead of the Sportsman. Loved the Sportsman, finicky, but loved it. These generators, 1,000 watt, small, efficient. Check your EER on your ACs. Make sure if you get a 5,000, make sure it's a 12.1 or more. If you get a bigger, this 1,000 watt, it's 1,200 watt is what it is. 1,200 1,200 startup, 1,000 running. These are all those generators that you see on eBay, Amazon, Harbor Freight. You go look at them, they're all the same. Now they won't have any problem starting a 5,000, 6,000 AC, regardless of what the EE are. They'll start it up, no problem. It's the sportsmen that struggled, and the sportsmen are still out there. You want something cheap? There was one on Marketplace this morning for. I wouldn't buy. You got to be careful buying one of those used. About I think it was 150. See them on right now on eBay. This is May 10th, May 11th. Buffalo Tools, which is the one that distributes those generators. They have refurbished ones. They've been selling for $200. I mean, I would recommend that if you wanted a cheap generator, and that's delivered. I mean, you'd have one to be in 3 or 4 days. You'd have your generator, but there's just no way to compare what it's like to have to be out here, to park under a shade tree, have your little sportsman. When I mounted mine on the front bumper, as I mentioned earlier, and your AC, turn it on, it's heaven. I mean, it's not heaven, but it's close to it. I mean, it's nice, not just economical. It's amazing how you can go. It's amazing. That's a 40cc motor. It's a weird. I explained all that, but anyway, I'll make another video and show you how. Well, I probably won't, but I was going to show you my AC, how it's mounted there, but it's pretty old, self-explanatory. All right, bye.